Welcome back to Niaga Spotlight, still with me, Tamina Kausji. Today we've been looking at economic impacts of extreme heat. Next, we delve into the economic impact on Malaysia and rising cost of living and overall productivity impacts, especially on vulnerable sectors like agriculture and construction. Dr. Nick Abdul Rahim, Senior Lecturer with the Faculty of Forestry and Environment at University Putra Malaysia, joined me to discuss this angle. Let's watch. Hi, Dr. Nick. How are you? Thank you so much for taking time to be on Niaga Spotlight today.
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me, Ms. Tamina, in this program.
Fantastic. So, Dr. Nick, could we get started off by you sharing with us from your perspective as a senior lecturer with the Faculty of Forestry and Environment at UBM? So what are the economic and social costs of extreme heat, and what kind of impacts have we already seen most recently, not just across the region, but also in Malaysia, where we actually did have 3 deaths on record directly due to extreme heat?
Okay, before I answer that question, I think I need to distinguish a bit what is between economic and social costs of heat wave. Okay, when we are talking about economic cost of heat waves, it means it's the direct financial cost that is associated with heat wave. Meanwhile, the social cost of heat waves is the indirect financial cost associated with heat wave. Okay, all of these costs can be incurred by the economic sectors and also by the households. Okay, we go back to the economic cost of the heat waves. Okay, so about the economic cost of heat wave, the most prevalence or significance one that we can see right now is the increasing of electricity bill. Okay, we cannot deny it, right? Either in economic sector or also in household level. Okay, for economic sectors such as the tourism sector, okay, the economic cost would be the reduced number of tourism activity due to the lacking numbers of tourists. So there will be the incurred economic cost there. For another example, in construction sector, okay, where the workers needs to limit their time outdoor due to the heat wave, so that it will reduce the work productivity, so that will extend the project lifespan, and then it will incur some costs in construction sector. Okay, we go back to the social costs. Social cost is quite different, yeah, from the economic cost, because it's associated indirectly with heat wave. For example, the health deterioration in terms of physical health, maybe due to heat stroke, or the deterioration of mental health that are caused by anxiety, distressful from the discomfort from working in the heat wave. So all the medical expenses incurred due to these physical and mental health distress, okay, these are counted as social costs. Okay, so basically social costs are often overlooked. Yeah, so in this case, what we can see right now, the pattern here, we can see the pattern for sure, the significant value of increasing electricity bill, right? You can see yourself, yeah, Mr. Mina. And then about in the agricultural sector, in the heat wave, it will definitely affect the agricultural sector. We know when we're talking about agriculture, we are depending a lot about water supply, and the heat.
Yeah. Dr. Nick, intervene over there to actually point out that aside from the increasing costs of, for example, electricity, which is directly related to us using more air conditioning. So that, of course, also has an environmental cost due to the carbon dioxide produced. But you were mentioning agriculture. Let's go into the fact that most of our agricultural produce in Malaysia is also produced by smallholders. In your perspective, what are some areas where the government could perhaps better support the adaptability and resilience for smallholders, so that extreme weather events such as droughts or even they are better able to manage it?
Okay, in terms of agriculture, yeah, we have quite numbers of smallholders in Malaysia, right? So during this heat extreme, what the government can do is to give them financial and also social support. Okay, easily for financial support, what the government can do, the government can give them financial assistance in terms of giving them subsidies or offer them low interest rate whenever they want to invest. That is where the government can help the smallholders. Okay, in social support, what the government can do first, they can offer them capacity building or offer them training. For that, the government can introduce the smallholder with crop heat resistant, okay, and also how to effectively do the plantation, and also to introduce the smallholders the best agriculture practice, considering in this heat wave we have water scarcity, how they can adapt with the water scarcity with their agricultural process.
Sure. Now, are there any regional breakthroughs, perhaps, Dr. Nick, that you have noticed or been keeping track of that perhaps our Malaysian agricultural sector could take inspiration from or easily adapt since we have similar climates, especially across Southeast Asia?
Okay, if we are talking about the breakthrough, about the invention of crop with heat resistant, we have research institution in Malaysia. We call it as MARDI that are centralizing into research about agricultural products. Okay, about MARDI, they have several breakthrough, yeah, with crop invention that can withstand disease with better quality. For example, MD2 pineapple, the harum manis, and as well in rice varieties. As far as I know, MARDI has come up with the invention of rice varieties that can withstand disease. And these rice varieties have already distributed to farmers where all of them are gain profits from the selling of the rice. But in terms of heat resistant crop, it is still under development. The first variants of rice that is developed by MARDI that has the component of heat resistant already developed in 2013, but not yet is distributed to the farmers because it is hard. Yeah, it is hard to make the heat resistant.
So the commercialization is still in the making, but from there, moving on into a much bigger picture, Dr. Nick, do you feel there are any other proactive measures, policies, or maybe even guidelines which can be made by the government in anticipation of a hotter climate in the near future? Also, the current heavy rains that we're experiencing, even in the Klang Valley, it is presumed that the cycle will soon end within the next 1 to 2 weeks and will be back in the cycle of the relentless heat that we were just experiencing.
Okay, when we are talking about government policy, right now we are under 12 Malaysian plan, yeah, and under 12 Malaysian plan, we have supporting focused policies about energy, about forestry, about environment, yeah, so that we can achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. And under the 12 Malaysian plan as well, the government is drafting, yeah, new policies, for example, the framework on carbon trading and also the framework to introduce renewable energy resources in Malaysia. Focusedly, we are talking about solar energy.
Absolutely. So I think when we're looking forward to 2050, at the same time, it's also important for local and individual mitigation measures, such as, of course, recycling more, and at the same time being cognizant of what kind of energy expenditure we're involved in. Thanks, Dr. Nick. Could we move on into you perhaps highlighting to us how can also extreme weather events like extreme heat disproportionately impact women, especially in an economic lens?
Okay, when we are talking how the extreme heat will affect the women, I'm not worried for those women who are working in professional sector. because they are working indoors, with comfort. But my most concern is among women who are working in informal sector. For example, in the street as a street vendor or as a owner of market store, where they are exposed to the heat because they are working outdoors. Similarly, with agricultural sector, we are developing country. That means we are still depending on women, to grow our agricultural sector. So they are exposed to this heat wave. My concern is that if they are exposed and they are physically or mentally challenged, distressed, has the heat stroke, though they cannot continue with their work, so that it will affect their income. So in this term, we need help. We need to have this vulnerable group of women, who will get impacted from the heat wave. The help not necessarily comes from the government. Yes, government should do something to come up with a facility, so that they have better place to do the marketing in as a vendor street, and as well the community-based organization is also can help these women. Perhaps to come up with delivery system that they can sell their products from home, and because we have WhatsApp or whatsoever, right? So we can do that. They can do that from home to avoid all the significant consequences from the heat wave from being outdoor.
And thank you for highlighting the fact that the digital economy also plays a part in helping to mitigate some of the impacts of climate on vulnerable farmers, especially women. Still on that same topic, Dr. Nick. Now, recently, Microsoft has announced its commitment to investing 2.2 billion USD on cloud and AI in Malaysia. Now, looking at the sensitivity of such advanced technological hardware to extreme heat, to what extent do you feel extreme heat is posing a challenge to governments like ours, especially in more tropical weathers, and at the same time, the need to also attract high-tech and high FDI investments?
This heat wave basically definitely will pose challenge towards our government, because we need to obtain trust from the investors. That we have stable electricity, we can have that kind of electricity that we can control the temperature. For this part, there are few alternatives that the governments can do. One of it is that I know the project in Cyberjaya, where they have centralized cooling system, where it is good, where it is adaptable and proven working. So the government can adapt and replicate that kind of project. The investment is very high, but that's the price that we need to pay to have larger profit in the future. And another strategy that the government can do to obtain trust from investor, maybe we can opt for another energy sources for electricity generation by using solar power generation. We must take opportunity with this heat wave where we have ample of sunlight, or must I say excessive sunlight. It is good for solar power generation. I think the investment is very high, that we need to come up with new power generation plant, but that's the thing that we need to pay, so that will be profitable to our country later on.
Absolutely. It's an investment as much as it is an expense, but more for the medium to long term. Thank you so very much, Dr. Nick Rahimah. Those were some excellent insights looking at extreme heat and mitigation measures over both the medium and long term. Lovely to have you here with us on Niaga Spotlight.
Well, this has been Niaga Spotlight with me, Tamina Kaushi. We'll see you next episode with more business analysis and insights. Here's to a productive week ahead.